The news came like a bolt of lightning across fandoms around the globe. In an era where even the smallest movement of an idol becomes trending within minutes, the idea that two of Korea's most beloved stars, Jungkook of BTS and Cha Eun-woo of ASTRO, shared a moment in a place as restricted as a military base felt almost unreal. Yet whispers began to spread, screenshots appeared, and testimony after testimony from anonymous military insiders slowly built a tidal wave of speculation. The question echoed through online communities: did Jungkook actually visit Cha Eun-woo in the barracks? As fans scrambled for answers, a rich narrative began to unfold, one filled with secrecy, friendship, emotional weight, and an atmosphere heavy with the responsibilities of military service. This wasn't just a celebrity sighting, this was the kind of rare, heartfelt moment that reminded the world why these two men had become icons of their generation. The story began quietly. Soldiers stationed at an unnamed training base noticed an unusual disturbance in their routine morning schedule. There were whispers among the ranks about a high-profile visit expected that day, though no one knew who or why. Restricted areas were temporarily cleared, schedules adjusted, and certain guards seemed unusually tense. The speculation among the soldiers ranged from government officials to CEOs, until eventually, one young soldier noticed something undeniably familiar: the silhouette of a man walking with a confident yet humble posture, surrounded by two discreet security personnel. He wore simple black clothing, a mask, and a cap pulled low. But for those who had spent years watching music videos, live stages, and behind-the-scenes clips, the outline of his figure was unmistakable. It was Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS, globally adored, famously difficult to spot casually due to his level of fame, had somehow walked into a military base with the kind of quiet purpose that bordered on cinematic. Rumors claimed that even some officers did not immediately recognize him. His stride was calm, almost solemn, as though he understood the gravity of the environment he had entered. This was not a public appearance, not a fan service moment, not a media event. It was personal. The reason soon became clear. Cha Eun-woo, a singer, actor, and one of Korea's most shining visuals, had been serving his mandatory military duty. Known for his immaculate image and polite personality, Eun-woo had become an exemplary soldier. But despite his smooth adaptation to military life, the weight of service was something no public figure could escape. Long days, endless drills, constant discipline, and separation from civilian life could take a toll on anyone. And for idols who had spent years in the intense rhythm of entertainment schedules, training must have felt both grounding and isolating. It was in the middle of this demanding routine that Jungkook appeared. Witness accounts suggest he walked straight into the private meeting room prepared for him, though some soldiers swear they saw him pause near the courtyard, watching the trainees with quiet respect. When Eun-woo entered the room and saw Jungkook waiting for him, their expressions, described by one soldier as a mix of shock, relief, and gratitude, were unforgettable. Imagine Eun-woo, clad in military uniform, posture straight from weeks of disciplined training, suddenly coming face to face with a friend from his civilian life. The two had always shared a quiet camaraderie, built from mutual respect, occasional interactions, and the unspoken bond between idols who understood the pressures of fame. Seeing Jungkook in a place so far removed from flashy stages and screaming crowds must have felt surreal. It is said that Eun-woo's reaction was more emotional than anyone expected. Though he maintained military composure, his eyes reportedly softened, almost trembling, as he greeted Jungkook with a respectful bow that quickly transformed into a warm embrace. The meeting was brief in the grand scheme of time, perhaps only a few hours. But in the context of military service, it was powerful. The two reportedly talked about everything and nothing: how Eun-woo was adjusting, how Jungkook had been spending his days, the upcoming plans for the future, their hopes, their stresses, their shared understanding of what it means to carry the weight of millions of fans on their shoulders. For a moment, the world outside didn't matter. It was just two young men in their 20s, navigating life, responsibilities, and friendship. Some soldiers who passed by the meeting room mentioned hearing soft laughter, rare within the strict atmosphere of military facilities. Others claimed they saw Eun-woo guiding Jungkook through the barracks courtyard, showing him the training ground with a mixture of pride and playfulness. Jungkook, in turn, appeared genuinely fascinated, even admiring the training equipment with a sense of deep respect. It was as though the idol who had performed on the biggest stages in the world found a different kind of awe in the simplicity of military life. The moment that struck many witnesses was when Jungkook reportedly stopped beside a row of resting soldiers and bowed deeply to them, thanking them for their service. It was a gesture that spread through the base like a quiet flame, humbling, sincere, and symbolic of his character. Some soldiers later admitted they were stunned. This wasn't the glamorous superstar they'd expected, but a man grounded in humility. But the most emotional part of the visit came near the end. When it was time for Jungkook to leave, Eun-woo escorted him to the entrance of the restricted zone. They exchanged a firm handshake, one that lingered just a moment too long, holding layers of unspoken respect and brotherhood. Jungkook placed a hand on Eun-woo's shoulder, giving him an encouraging squeeze. Some say Eun-woo bowed again, lower than before, as though expressing gratitude beyond words. As Jungkook exited the base, soldiers quietly saluted him, not as a celebrity, but as a respected visitor. He bowed back with genuine warmth before climbing into the vehicle waiting to take him away. Within hours, the whispers became a storm. A soldier leaked a vague post, "Saw someone unbelievable today. A superstar visited our base." Another followed, "Cha Eun-woo had a special visitor. Still can't believe it." Screenshots spread like wildfire, and soon, blurry photos surfaced, nothing clear, nothing incriminating, but just enough to send fans into a frenzy. ARMY and AROHA filled social media with theories, excitement, and emotional reactions. Many expressed how heartwarming it was to see Jungkook supporting Eun-woo during such a demanding chapter of his life. Some fans cried at the idea of Eun-woo receiving comfort from a familiar face. Others celebrated the rare friendship between idols who stood at the top of their respective fields. The beauty of the moment wasn't in its grandeur, it was in its simplicity. No cameras, no staged publicity, no flashy gestures. Just Jungkook being a loyal friend, and Eun-woo being a hardworking soldier who needed that reminder of home. The visit also sparked deeper reflections among fans. It reminded people that idols, no matter how extraordinary their careers may seem, are human beings with bonds, struggles, and emotions. They lean on each other, care for each other, and find strength in small acts of kindness. The story spread across news sites, forums, and fan pages, inspiring endless conversations about the future. Would Jungkook visit again? Would Eun-woo talk about it after completing his service? Would this moment spark a new wave of public appreciation for their friendship? These questions became part of the evolving narrative, adding to the sense of mystery and warmth that surrounded the encounter. As the world continued to discuss it, one thing became increasingly clear: whether or not more details ever emerged, this rare meeting had already earned a special place in the hearts of millions. It was a reminder that in the midst of duty, discipline, fame, and responsibility, a single act of friendship could shine like a beacon. And so, the story of Jungkook's quiet visit to Cha Eun-woo's military barracks transformed from mere rumor into a powerful symbol. A symbol of loyalty. A symbol of respect. A symbol of humanity behind the stardom. A rare encounter, yes, but one that will be remembered for years to come.